In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what is working in marketing in 2025 because let's be honest, over the last 10 years, we've experienced more change in the world of business and marketing than we have in the whole history of the world combined. And that really just goes for the world in general, not just marketing. And now with AI coming into the mix, it's all getting disrupted again. And I talk to a lot of business owners, a lot of CMOs, and a lot of people that are very high up in marketing organizations at some of the biggest companies in the world. And one thing that is clear is that people are not adapting to the changes, and as a result, they're getting left behind. So in this video, I want to show you exactly what is working and what is not working in 2025. And the last thing we cover is probably going to be the highest ROI on per minute watch time that you've ever gotten on YouTube. So stick with me and we'll get to that. But I want to get started by showing what is not working in 2025. So 2025 marketing, let's get into it. To start things out, long gone are the days of paying tens of thousands of dollars for an event, for a booth, or a sponsorship. It just doesn't convert. So I started my career at Salesforce.com. I know all about these things because Salesforce holds millions of events every year, it seems. And by the way, Salesforce is a great company and they make a lot of money on those events, but I'm not so sure the return on investment from the people that are investing in those companies are really getting their money's worth. And so when you're going to an event, what's happening is, in the 70s and 80s and 90s, it made a lot of sense because how else are you going to meet other people? There's no other way that you're going to get in a congregation of people that are all together in the same place, interested in the same stuff. Well, now we have the internet, so you can immediately see why that's not going to work. But when you go to these events, there's a couple things that you have to consider. Number one, you have to pay for tickets. This might be for yourself. This might be for your business. This might be for your entire team, but you do have to pay for tickets. You have to pay for potentially a sponsorship. You have to pay for a booth, potentially. You have to pay for airfare. The list goes on and on. What I'm getting at is you have to pay a lot of money for a very low return on investment. So high investment cost, low return on investment. And in business, this might work for Salesforce. This might work for Apple. This might work for Google. You and me, we got to make sure that if we spend $1, we're going to make $2. We need a high ROI. That's just, it just is what it is. Like we can't afford to spend $1 billion to go to an event just to show face. And it's not necessary. It doesn't even work anymore. So what's the point? So what's not working are events. For very, very specific businesses, they work. Now, with that said, like a mastermind where it's like 50, 100 people, super hyper targeted amount of people that are super engaged. And, there might be sure, that's valid. And I'm not going to discount that at all. However, in general, I would recommend to stay away from these things. If you're going as a solopreneur by yourself and you pay for your ticket and it's $1,000 and, you think you can go meet some people, it might be a good idea. But in general, sponsoring booths, it's just not really making any sense. So on to the next. SEO is dying a very slow death. If you did not know, there is this thing called AI. I don't know if you knew that or not. But AI is completely disrupting Google's business. So you go to Google search and you search something and what you get is an AI generated summary. And in addition to that, what you get is a bunch of paid per click links. And so Google is having to cannibalize their own business, which is SEO. Obviously, it's the highest profit margin business of all time. Google is having to, and we're watching this happen, they're having to kill this business right in front of us in order to stay alive. And honestly, props to them because a lot of businesses wouldn't and they would just become irrelevant. Like we saw that happen with a lot of businesses in the 90s and 2000s. So, SEO is really dying a painful death. Now, there's something to be said about artificial intelligence engine optimization. I don't know what the actual acronym will end up being. But when I use ChatGPT, I find out about new tools all the time. So there are ways to rank for LLMs, but that's for a different video. So a lot of businesses grew off of blog posts. What an easy way to grow your business. You just rank and your business grows. It's a lot more difficult now than it was then. But I almost wish I was a little older at that age so that I could have taken more advantage of that. Now, however, I'm not saying not to create blog posts, but they're just not as efficient as they once were. And it just makes sense, right? We just got to think about the way that people are consuming information. No one's going to sit there and read an entire blog post when they can go watch a YouTube video on it or, talk to ChatGPT about it or whatever the case might be. So SEO is something that people are very reluctant to let go of, but I'm telling you right now, it's dying a slow death and you're just fighting resistance at this point if you're trying to hold on. So what else is not working? Okay, now this is a tricky one, and I'm not going to say that Meta Ads is not working at all, but it's very different. With that said, at the time of this video, tariffs have impacted significant amounts of advertisers on Facebook. As a matter of fact, Temu, let's give them a red because we don't like them. Temu was spending up to $7 billion of ad spend on Meta per year. So with that said, there might be a real arbitrage opportunity. That is just not good handwriting. I'm learning how to use this iPad. But there might be a really good arbitrage opportunity on Facebook right now due to the tariffs. But in general, what's happening is ad costs are going up and ROAS is going down because it is so competitive. I mean, oh my gosh, it is so cutthroat, and I see so many businesses trying so hard to make it work. The thing about Facebook ads is if you're not good at creative, which we'll touch on in a little bit, you just don't have a chance. You don't have a chance to compete, and you won't compete either. So that's something to think about too. You really need to make sure that if you're going to advertise on Facebook, you got to have some of the best creative of anyone in your industry. Most businesses do not have that. So Meta ads are very expensive. Now, with that said, they might be a little bit cheaper right now. But you can definitely get an ROI there. It's very difficult though, and you need a high ticket price. So if you have a high ticket, a $10K product, for example, you can afford to run ads at a high cost because you could pay $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, and you know that the LTV on your customer is $10,000, then it could work. But if your LTV is $1,000 or $500, it's going to be really, really, really difficult to make those numbers work for you. And I've seen many businesses burn a ton of cash just trying to make it happen. So I'm not sure I would recommend that. It depends, I guess, is the answer. So Meta ads is tricky, complicated. It can work, but it also can really not work. Billboard advertising. I just wanted to include this one because I was just thinking about it and it was just so funny. I just thought it was so interesting how, billboards were such an effective way to advertise back in the day, but now everyone is on their phone. This is a phone. Everyone's looking at their phone instead of the billboard. So billboard advertising, I just don't think it makes sense in any way, shape, or form. I think it's mind-blowing to me that people are spending the money that they are spending on billboard advertising. At least in the States, I would say no billboards. So if this is your billboard, we're going to say absolutely not, don't do that. I would never recommend that to anyone. And I just want to include that because it's more so terrifying that everyone's on their phone while they're driving. Also, it just doesn't work for your business. So what is working? Let's talk about what is actually working in the world of marketing in 2025. And I should add, this is really relevant for B2B and B2C, what I'm about to explain here. So first things first, this is probably one of the newer trends that's picked up over the last 5 years. Influencer marketing has been around for a long time. UGC is a lot newer. And actually, I think UGC is where the real money is at because what's happening is with influencers, they might charge $1,000 per post. Let me tell you right now, you should almost never pay $1,000 for a post. That is unbelievably ridiculous. Some of the creators I talk to, they'll be like, yeah, this is going to be $1,500 for this one post. And I'm like, you average 5,000 views. Are you out of your mind? Influencers, we're going to say they're on the way out. Now, UGC, I think it's got a couple years left of being a huge arbitrage opportunity. So UGC could be someone with 500 followers, 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, smaller audience, very engaged, and just a good creator, just a really good creator. I think that this is really important. So UGC, lower following, but in my experience, really high ROIs. Now, this could be done on a place like TikTok Shop. It could be on the Amazon Creator Network. It could just be on LinkedIn. You could repurpose content from UGC creators on LinkedIn, and that could get put into the LinkedIn algorithm. But at the end of the day, I would highly recommend someone to look into UGC and influencer content because it's very effective. Now, it depends on the business, of course. If you're doing like manufacturing or something like that, it might not make sense. But even cybersecurity or fintech, I genuinely feel like this could work because we got to think about it like this, guys. We need to show up where people are hanging out at. And everyone's hanging out on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. It used to be 5 years ago. I don't know if my demographic is on these channels. I'm telling you, every single adult is on these channels to a certain extent. Every single one of them. So it's worth considering and at least exploring. Now, what else is working? This one is my favorite. I've scaled every single one of my businesses on the back of cold email, and it can be unbelievably effective. While it is very competitive, cold calling as well. So if you're not cold calling, I don't really understand why. It's just it works. Like, why wouldn't you want to do something that works? It's just effective. So cold calling, I'm not going to go too much into that. That's a tale as old as time. But cold email is the highest leverage opportunity you can have. And if you think about leverage, it's the smallest amount of input with the most amount of output. That is literally cold email. Because what you do is you're going to write your scripts. You're going to get some type of email marketing software. You're going to scrape a list, and you're just going to blast these emails, and you're going to test the messaging. And you're going to say, okay, people don't like this message. They respond better to this one. And you refine it over time until it's so dialed in, you start getting way higher reply rates, way higher booking rates. So just really quickly, I'll explain to you for cold email, the platforms I would recommend. So for the actual emails getting sent, I would recommend Instantly. Amazing, amazing platform. Shout out to them. There's a link in the bio if you want to check it out. It's a very, very incredible platform. For the actual domains, you need to use something like Squarespace, probably the easiest in my opinion. For the implementation of the email, so you buy the domains and then you have to create the email. So I like to use Google Workspace. So I'll just put Google. But you can also use Outlook. It's a tiny bit cheaper, but Google is just so much more efficient, in my opinion. And then for the actual lead generation, you can use ListKit, or you can use Clay. ListKit is much more simple, straightforward, very, very effective. I really like it. Clay is very advanced and in-depth. Clay is fire, to be honest with you. Most people don't know how to use it, and I would recommend you start with ListKit if you're going to start anywhere. So you have Instantly, Squarespace, Google, ListKit, and Clay. I'll link all of these below, but this is what I would recommend in terms of cold emailing. And you should be sending about 10,000 cold emails a month. Every business on the planet should be doing this. It makes me angry that more people aren't. Like, why would you not want to be blasting emails and getting customers? Where you need to be careful is if you have a product that has reviews, like on Amazon, for example, if you piss enough people off, they might all go leave reviews. So that would be a place to tread carefully. But like software, service-based, consultants-based, it's just, why would you not just absolutely rip emails? It doesn't make any sense at all to me. Highly, highly recommend blasting cold emails at scale. And if you need help with that, shout out to me. Reach out to me because I can help you. That's something I've done very, very well in my career. Okay, inbound marketing. So this is where it gets really good. Inbound marketing is probably the best place to invest your advertising or your marketing dollars behind cold email, I might add. But cold email is not like a massive investment necessarily. It's just kind of complicated and confusing. Okay, so YouTube is unbelievable for lead gen for business. Unbelievable. And so we want to think of YouTube as bottom of funnel. Okay. So in the same way that I was saying how Google is having to cannibalize their business, they do have this ace in the hole, and that's YouTube. YouTube is a search engine. If, for instance, I help businesses generate leads, nurture the leads, and increase revenue through inbound and outbound sales and marketing. So for example, it makes sense for me to make videos about marketing because if someone's searching for how to do marketing to grow their business, they're like, wait, this guy knows what he's talking about. Let me book a call with him. And you can do the same thing with any industry, You just position yourself as an expert in that industry, and that's literally all that you have to do. Okay, and you create content around the industry, not your offer. People get confused. They make videos about their offer, but you want to create videos about the industry, not the offer. And if you do that, you get associated with someone that knows what's going on. You build trust. And we all know that if you want to get customers, you have to build your know, like, and trust. So yeah, I would say YouTube is 100% must. I could not recommend a channel heavier, to be honest with you. Now, LinkedIn is a sleeper, and I am so bullish on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to be top of funnel, middle of funnel, and potentially bottom of funnel. So LinkedIn now has an algorithm, a TikTok algorithm. It's got a For You video feed. And they're pumping those videos out there. And this is one of those rare opportunities where you can get on a channel and really create heavily and really get a step ahead. So these are the two channels. You need to be on these two. If you're not on these two channels, you are leaving money on the table. I don't care what business you're in. I don't care what industry you're in. You're leaving money on the table by not being on these two channels. Now, is it easy? No. Is it complicated? Yes. Is it demoralizing? Absolutely. But with YouTube in particular, you might post 10 videos that all get 50 views, but 50 qualified views is so much more valuable than just a million views from people that have no purchase intent from you. I mean, truly, think about that. 50 qualified views might result in 5 qualified calls. 5 qualified calls could be $100,000. You know, if 5 qualified calls for me, I mean, it could be anywhere from 25K to 100K in potential deal flow. So I would prefer to have this niche than have this big group of people. And I think people really need to understand that. And we got so brainwashed into wanting dopamine from TikTok and platforms like that, you know, it's really a mistake. So where this all comes together is you have your outbound going out at scale and you have your inbound. So someone gets an email and they're like, who the heck is this Sam guy? Who is he? What does he know? Let me go look. Wow, he knows what he's talking about. He sounds smart. He sounds like he's in the know with marketing. Let me book a call with him. And if that's you right now, book a call. But with that said, you need these two working in lockstep. They don't work near as well solo as they do together. And that's just a fact. So what you want to do next is the amplification of your inbound marketing. Okay, this is where it gets really, really juicy. So with our content, we're basically testing the algo. So we're testing the algo. And what that means is we're posting content at scale, and every now and then a video is going to do really well. That is the platform saying this video can make you money. You need to make sure, those are pathetic dollar signs. You need to make sure that the video that you are creating or that you're advertising actually like is relevant to your business and can drive revenue. But if it's a LinkedIn video that performs well, okay, this is a topic people are interested in. Let me make a YouTube video on this. If it's a YouTube video that performs well, okay, let me just run some ad spend on this video or make a LinkedIn video related to this topic and run ad spend on it. So this is the amplification of inbound marketing. What you do is you test the organic channels, and from there, you take the test and you scale it, and it freaking works so well. So the magic bullet in 2025 is going to be outbound at scale, inbound at scale, amplification of that inbound. And when you have all of this rocking and rolling, I mean, you literally, you just got the trifecta going around and around in circles. This is unbelievably effective. You will be able to grow your business by focusing on these 3 things obsessively like nothing you've ever seen. You need a good CRM to stay organized. You need good creative ideation. Your creative needs to look good too. You can't just throw up a graphic and expect it to get views. You need to like really understand this stuff. Think about it like this. Think how competitive professional sports are. Wherever in the world you're watching this from. I live in the United States. So the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, so competitive. Social media might be more competitive because there's way more people competing, way more. And they're really good at what they do. So this is not something that you just halfway do. You have to either go all the way in or don't do it at all. And this will change the course of your business if you execute it correctly, but you also have to be patient. It's not going to happen overnight. If you're not doing this, if you can't commit to at least 6 months, I mean, probably don't even start, in my opinion. You have to treat it like a sport, and you got to be committed to see it through. So this is how you win on social media in 2025. Not social media. This is how you win in marketing and business in 2025. And it's complicated and it's a lot, but that's why I'm here. So check out the links if you want to use any of the tools that I mentioned. Check out my website, also linked below. Book a call if you need some help. And I hope to see some of you guys scale and crush it this year in business because this is what's working. I talk to a lot of people and I'm just telling you, this is what you need to do to go to the next level.